the Western countries actually delivered to the masses vibrant, participative, efficient democracies. In all the Western countries, the taxes is directly linked to the participative democracies. All those countries, they are vibrant, participative, and efficient democracies. The Nobel laureate Amartya Sen has said the social reforms, like imposition of sustainable taxes, have a direct relationship with the participative democracies, otherwise society is rejected. That's what we are doing it. The societies are rejecting taxes because the democracy does not underlie in the society's basic fabric. There is a primary flaw is in the concept of indirect taxes that it is very easy to impose. You collect tax on any product, 5%, 2%, irrespective of imports, sales, consumption, is very easy to impose. However, it is most difficult to manage the economic consequences of the indirect taxes. When you impose tax on say, bread, when you impact tax on the milk, you don't know who is the buyer, what is the quality of buyer, where the incidence will actually place. So it's one of the very bad kind of taxes. In the economic sense, consumption-based taxes needs to be structured very delicately by economists, as management of the flow of the incidence is not accurately measurable. And Mr. Abdullah Sahab is here. We know how we design our indirect taxes. So the question is that the indirect taxes are very difficult to design as against a direct tax to be designed, because the economic consequences are very different. There is an inherent hedonism in the levy of indirect taxation. Abrupt revolution, underlying weakness in the conceptual framework now indirect taxes is a reality. But that's the fact. Whatever it is, it's in Pakistan is the reality. Out of the total collection of taxes, we collect plus 60%. A major and easy source of revenue for all the governments, thus more prone to abuse against the interests of the common man. It's a very easy revenue for the government. They can collect from the poor man. They can collect very easily. No hardship, nothing. So it is very easy for the government to collect indirect tax. No revolution is short-term expected. Government can afford. There will be no government who will be able to reduce the incidence of indirect taxes from 60% of segment of society. The only hope is that the social sense should prevail. The question here before us is that what should be the quantum of fiscal deficit and what should be the source of revenue. I think that's exactly what the broad guideline was given by Mr. Masood. Generally, there is no. Now let's go to another basic issue, because I am dealing with two subjects. What should the fiscal deficit be, and whether indirect taxes should be the source of that. Generally, non-comparable benchmarks determine the fiscal deficits. We say the fiscal deficit of Pakistan is very high. It should be equal to what should be in Greece. Something like that. Comparison of the present economic situation of Greece with India and Pakistan is conceptually wrong. Unfortunately, on the lessons taught by us from Washington and London, we compare apple with oranges. The problem, the causes, the remedies are different, as the economic dynamics are dissimilar. In Greek, there is 100% literacy, reasonable social security, stable, homogeneous society, and EU support. Our case is different. Our priorities include provision of basic education and health, even at the cost of high fiscal deficit. The question of investment and return. For us, educating people and spending on medicine, even by printing notes, may be a feasible idea. The question is, somebody says, don't print the note. I say, no, we can print the note, but for what? There is no hard and fast rule that how much notes should be printed and how much notes should not be printed. Comparative advantage over the West. We have a comparative advantage over the West. Raw material converted into a finished goods, that is our young population. We don't have any comparative advantage over the West. The only comparative advantage we have got over the West is young population of this country. This is an asset which you have to convert. This is a commodity which you have to convert an asset, or if you don't want to convert, it will become a scrap. So that is the only advantage we have got. It is criminal to equate the fiscal deficit created by defense spending with the sum supposed to be spent on education. In our society, we don't discriminate. We say fiscal deficit, but we don't distinguish from where the fiscal deficit is being created, whether it's being created by education or whether it's created by defense. No fixed or predestined level of fiscal deficit and amount to be generated through taxes is the same. Comparison with the developed society is fundamentally wrong and flawed. Print notes for books, not for guns. Our cure has to be intrinsically local. Western education, expertise, technology and resources empower us to analyze and resolve our problem rather than replicating the remedies for resolving our diseases. We have to educate it there, but that doesn't mean we apply the same measures what we are trying to do here. Why do we collect indirect taxes? It's easy to collect. There's a guaranteed revenue, and then the last issue is that by placing indirect taxes, you put the pressure out of the direct taxes. The pressure on direct taxes becomes lesser if you collect more indirect taxes. Moved in the wrong direction, constantly increasing the incidence of indirect taxes with a less emphasis on direct taxation, short-term solution detrimental to sustainable economic growth. That's what we have done. We have moved toward indirect taxes, and now our base of direct taxes has eroded, and now we are in a very strained position. We have reached a saturation point by 2009. Revolutionary paradigm change can provide sustainable, equitable growth in revenue. You can see on the Mercedes going on the road, which the road is broken. This is the position of the IMF formula for Pakistan. They can provide us Mercedes, but they cannot provide us roads. Tax levied in Pakistan on the basis of studies undertaken in London or Washington. No local input by the economics. Prerequisite for effective implementation of fiscal policy is culture, ground realities, understanding of the taxpayer psyche, and the nature relationship between the taxpayer and tax collector. Even the best product fail if the operating environment is not conducive. A Merc or BMW will not give pleasurable ride if the roads are uneven. We bring in such techniques without first clearing our roads. As an outsider cannot clear our roads. Our roads to implement the policies are fundamentally uneven. Basic structure of society has to be made even. Indirect taxes, let me be clear on this. Indirect taxes is an alternate remedy, not the original remedy being direct taxes. But failures in applying original remedy being collection of direct taxes have led to exorbitant use of alternate remedy. Consumption taxes has effectively become a production tax on account of apparent distortion. Yes, if it would have been VAT, I would have liked it. But it is not VAT, it is only production tax in a sense. It is not flowing to the end stage, it's just a simple tax on production. Instead, direct taxation is too high presently and its spectrum is too narrow. For sustenance, further stretching of the string will be fatal. The base is unreasonably limited. I explained this in my article, which is there in the. The question is, indirect taxes. The problem with the society is that we are focusing on the pure capitalistic concepts. But in the West, recently, Terry Eagleton has written a book, Why Marx Was Right. This is a recent book by Why Marx Was Right. This was recently written in England. They are discussing why the pure capitalism is not working. The market forces have failed, and the basis they have failed has to be analyzed. Unfortunately, that medicine is coming too late in our societies. In our society, the faith of system is diluting very speedily. Whatever rules adopted 21st century, participative democracy, the equal tax system is the only viable option. Whatever is happening, this is the only solution. In Pakistan, I will just through, in Pakistan, a smoke screen was placed when we placed a presumptive taxes where the indirect taxes were considered to be direct taxes, and that is how we further eroded the base of the indirect taxes. I will not dilate detail on this. This